What's up, guys? So some really big news coming out from the from Biden about their plan with real estate, and I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Even right now, like I'm not tired because I'm just thinking about all the big changes that are going to be coming to real estate investing, really investing across the field. And what my big concerns are, I'm going to hop into what they're intending to do with real estate, but my big concerns are that what's happening overseas right now is soon going to be coming here, and we may step into a series where we could possibly see another eviction moratorium. We could start to see these types of things, but inside of Biden's Build Back Better agenda, what they're intending to do is send billions and billions and billions of dollars to acquire real estate across the country. And the amount of homes that they could buy, I'm talking in the hundreds of thousands of properties, is really astounding. And when I look at what's happening right now in California, I played this video of Gavin Newsom a couple days ago talking about him laughing about buying 6,000 rooms, so hotel rooms, houses, apartment houses, single family homes, spending billions and billions of dollars of money that they've acquired throughout the last 18 months, buying these properties from mom and pop investors. Mom and pop investors. I mean, he's laughing. He's saying that he knows that they were in distress and that they were happy to unload the properties, all because of the policies. If what happened 18 months ago never actually happened, I'm sure most of those people would not be in a position to wanting to sell their properties. What's up, Sam? Hey, Johnny. Do you use Clubhouse? Yeah, I do. Add me on Clubhouse. Add me on Insta as well. I'm on Insta a lot, and I try to respond to pretty much everybody via DM. So hit me up on Insta. Let me share this with you guys. So his real estate. Here's where his real estate issues stand in the Build Back Better agenda. So the U.S. House of Representatives on Friday, today, greenlighted the roughly $2 trillion Build Back Better Act, meaning the fate of billions of dollars in housing funding is now in the hands of the Senate. This is what's really concerning me, because real estate forever in America, real estate's been a wealth builder, a wealth generator. People would buy real estate and hold on to property, and this property would produce either passive income or appreciation or depreciation, or a shelter, a wealth generator. Single family homes, it's a traditional entry point for the middle class in America. Without home ownership, people lose out big time because incomes are not rising at the same rate as rents are. And you buying something with 3% down or 5% or even 20% down, having all these tax deductions and having a fixed cost, meaning a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, there's nothing better than that for the traditional middle class family. And that's all being put in question right now. It's all being pushed to the hands of the decision makers on how people can live, what they can afford, and when they're allowed to resume back to their normal life. That's the big concern here. So when they're putting $2 trillion down, saying that they're acting as if this is a really good thing, the measure approval follows the passage of $1 trillion investment, right? And they currently want to put $65 billion towards public housing. That is so massive. To put that in consideration, if each unit was $200,000, right? And they're buying these, I guarantee they're going to buy a lot of these from distressed mom and pop landlords. They're not going to be buying these from, off of Zillow, like, traditional American buyer would. They go online and look at some houses and be like, oh, I like this neighborhood. This house is, it's a nice house. We can afford it. Let's go ahead and buy it. No, I'm sure that they're going out there probably buying blocks of bad debt from banks, acquiring all that distressed property. But for clarity, $200,000 a unit, $65 billion. They're going out there. They could buy 365,000 units. So For clarity, in Delaware, total housing units, 443,000. Almost the ability, just on this one bill, to go out there and buy the entire state of Delaware. Like, what world are we living in where people think, oh, this is a good thing? This is great. I mean, this is insane. This is crazy to me. But the big question I ask myself is, are we stepping into a big bear trap? Are things going to get worse in the next 6 months or 12 months? Because all of these markets are unbelievable. Stocks, crypto, real estate, everything is so inflated, and it's built around a big bed of insecure. Really, it's built around a big bed of false security that's in this market right now. How do we have everything the way it is right now organically? We don't. Most people don't want to work. You go by any business, it's a for hire sign. Nobody wants to work. At least that's how it seems. You're having 4.5 million people leaving their job every single month, and the real estate market's booming. It doesn't make any sense to me. So they're doing this, right? So they have this situation, 80 billion, right? They initially wanted 40 billion, 65 billion for public housing, right? And then it also includes 25 billion for federal housing vouchers. So you add it up, and $1 billion for project and for rental assistance. You just think about the moves that they're making right now. So 25 billion for federal housing vouchers, 1 billion for a project rental-based assistant, previous down from 75 billion, and 15 billion for the latter. The measure also calls for 15 billion for the housing trust fund, and 1.7. This is like, it's hard to keep up with how big these numbers are. 1.75 billion for unlocking possibilities program. How is this unlocking possibilities when what is happening right now is we're having a situation where all the possibilities are being absorbed. They're being taken out of the market. People that are Joe the plumber and Sally the deli owner, these people are getting sucked out of the market because inflation's killing them. Taxes are increasing. They have to pay more for their staff. It's getting harder and harder for the middle class. How is this opening up possibilities? This is it's interesting, is they're building out this whole big bed of dependence, and it's being fed to everybody as if this is a really good thing for the traditional middle class. On this channel, I want to be real with everybody. I want to be straight up honest with everybody, because this is, to me, is pretty insane. That I personally think that we're stepping into a big problem, in the real estate market, in the stock market. I think that soon the roosters are gonna, they're gonna come to collect. Things are gonna get real very, very soon. And a lot of people, I think, are gonna get swallowed in this market. So they say, so quick recap. 65 billion for public housing, right? So the liquidity to go out there and buy 443, almost the state of Delaware, just on that first purchase, right? Then 25 billion for federal housing, 1 billion for project-based rental assistance, and then 1.75 billion for unlocking possibilities program. So what is that? 1.75, 25, 65. So you're talking 80 billion between these two, plus 81 billion, right? Plus, you're talking $82.5 billion going out there. What's also very fascinating to me is that they're using money that taxpayers pay for to acquire the taxpayers' homes. And then it's being fed as everyone is just being so blessed and fortunate for this whole situation. Interesting. So, SALT tax is written, the measure would temporarily increase the cap on state and local tax deductions on federal returns, 80,000, right, through 2030. Bond financing, the bill would also make a key change to low-income housing tax credit program. Affordable housing groups have called for reforms, a so-called 50% test, which requires at least half the development to be financed through private activity bonds to be eligible for the tax credits. And this is a really big one. People are really, really not paying attention to this, and it's huge. This is, I think, the most important thing that nobody's listening to. Like, you have people like the CEO of Redfin coming out and telling everybody, like, hey, you're not going to be able to get home insurance on properties. And if you can't get insurance, you're not going to be able to get bank financing to buy properties. They're saying in certain zones, what's going to happen is only going to be for the rich people, the people that can self-insure. What that means is that if something happens, you have the cash, you can go out and fix your house without, calling State Farm or one of these insurance providers. So they're saying that this is going to be a big problem, right? So what they're going to be doing is, it's right here. They're going to be acquiring a bunch of housing. They're going to be building out this possibilities program. And then people are going to be relocating, most likely, according to Redfin's CEO, according to a lot of the big players, relocating to areas that are going to be a bit more practical for the environment. So all this is happening right now, but you go on any other YouTuber and they'll never tell you any of this. They'll pretend like the real estate market's in 2017 and everything is phenomenal. But I mean, this is what they're saying. So everything else that they've said so far has come very much true, and this is signed into law. So this is 100% happening. Spending bill includes, unless something radical happens and this all gets withdrawn, but it was signed. $550 billion aimed to combat this, right? Marking largest such investment in the country's history. So $550 billion, right? And this includes tax incentives for electric vehicles, expanding clean energy and other green infrastructure. What this means, other green infrastructure, is housing, infrastructure for housing. So what I have, I have a theory here. This is a just common sense theory here. So they have 80 plus billion going strictly towards providing housing. So right now, the 60 billion I showed you guys, roughly, the size of Delaware, and the amount of homes that could be acquired right now, right? They have that. Then they have the situation where people are going to be relocating because rising insurance costs. I just fell out of a contract on a multifamily property in St. Pete Beach that I thought was a great property. But when the owner would transfer the deed to me, the flood insurance would double. And my insurance provider told me that it's going to double again within 3 years. So everything's just getting so expensive. So what they're going to be doing here is, I believe, is that these new infrastructure packages through the this movement here, is most people aren't going to be able to afford. They're not going to be able to afford to do these upgrades because, Ithaca, New York, look it up. CNBC did a whole article on it. I talked about it several times. Not going to talk about it so much now, but the cost was $50,000 per single family home. That's kind of what they said. That the ballpark median price to decarbonize the property is about $50K, right? And so they're putting $550 billion aimed here. I've read online certain publishers have said that really this money is going to be used as loans, low interest loans to people, but I'm not 100% sure, so I can't confirm that. We can hopefully find some more credible sources, or they'll start talking about that a little bit later. But I would highly, highly doubt that they're just going to give $550 billion to the general public for free. If you look at these stimulus packages and everything else, they're not just giving this money away. They're really stringing everybody along. Same thing with the rent relief. Look at New York, look at LA, look at Florida. They've only distributed, New York actually distributed 8% of all the capital, but Florida and California only distributed 2% of all rent relief money to the landlords. And if you look at Invitation Homes, the largest landlord in America, they have booked record profits during the last 18 months. How is that so? What I think is actually happening is that I think that they're able to book these record profits because they're getting checks directly from the big man. So they're getting checks from them direct, and they're increasing rents accordingly, and they're getting checks, in accordance with that rent increase. Whereas the mom and pop investor, they don't have those connects, they don't have that power. So they basically get stuck holding the bag. Look up Maxine Waters, what she said to mom and pop investors. She said, hey, if you need money now, go to your local bank and get a loan. Imagine that. Like, think about how crazy this is. Landlords are not social workers. Landlords got in the business to make money and to build wealth, right? Now many of them, before the moratorium was, when the moratorium was put in place, they turned into social workers and they turned into the enemy. When in reality, America is a capitalistic society and it's the best country on the earth in terms of, opportunity for people to literally, you can come here and with some hustle, some real, just no fear, and just attack your goals. You can achieve anything. But I think a lot of people take it for granted. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. That guy, he would have been nothing without America. But because of America and the opportunities America presented him, he rose to stardom. He did so many incredible things. And then at the end of the day, he turns around and basically says, screw your freedom. This is what America is turning into. It's turning into a situation where it's no longer about, capitalism and property ownership. And it's all about manipulation and division. And it's getting pretty crazy. And I really, really wonder what's going to happen with this whole situation in terms of where does this go? Like, seriously, where does this go? But the idea that they can literally just print out capital and just go be like, oh yeah, we're going to include $65 billion for public housing, giving us the ability to go out there and buy $325,000 or 325,000 properties if the average median price is $200K. So just in Delaware, it probably is somewhere around $200K, but be able to go out there and essentially just acquire the entire state. That's some real bill. Like, those are some massive moves. And who's going to pay for all this? That's the big question. That's why my big fear about real estate right now. It's right now. It's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. I'm in Florida. I just came back from dinner with my sister, my wife, kids, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what should I do right now? And the big question, I love real estate investing. But the big question I have is, when does this end for the tug of war on property and the game that's being played with real estate and capitalism? And the big fear that I have is that we're stepping in to, we pay attention to what's going on overseas. We pay attention to what's happening in the world. We're stepping into a world of uncertainty. And the next 2 months or 3 months could be very revealing. And if in fact, small businesses and mom and pop shops, they lose out on the winter months in terms of holiday spending, and they lose out. That's when they make most of their money. They make most of their money during the winter, and then they hold that to their chest, and then they can, make it through the spring. If they lose out on Black Friday or, Christmas and New Year's, they lose out on that shopping, what's going to happen is that their ship is sinking. They're going to be in some big trouble. And then at that point in time, it's only so long that they can hold on. And I think we learned some very valuable lessons from Gavin Newsom when he came out and he was laughing about buying those 6,000 units from mom and pop investors that were happy to unload their properties over 5 months. Think about that. 6,000 doors in 5 months. So, they're buying 80,000 doors, 20,000 doors a week over the last 5 months. Unbelievable. I'm not here to, scare anybody or anything like that, but we have to pay attention. I think it's common sense. Pay attention to it, take in the information, see if that information is useful for everybody, and then make smart investing decisions accordingly. But to me, it's just pretty wild. But then again, like, I do believe some people say, oh, everything's going down and blah, blah, blah. Sure, like, things are going to go down. There's going to be some big problems, but smart people will always do smart things. And if you have money and you have some type of game plan, you're going to be a lot better off than if you do nothing and you just sit back and play the victim role. I don't believe in being a victim. Never, ever would I ever be a victim. And I don't believe any of you guys are either. But, take in the information, take it in, see how you can use it, and make smart investing decisions accordingly. Because there will be an opportunity coming very, very soon that 90% of this country or 95% of this country thinks is completely false. They think that everything's going to continue skyrocketing. And the reason that it's going to is because they're just going to keep printing money. I don't believe that's true. I think what they're actually doing is setting up a big bear trap that most people are going to step into. And it's going to build out a huge ocean of dependence in which will give them more power and more control. So be smart. Don't be too over leveraged. Pay attention to what's going on. Hit that notification bell as well, and you'll be updated on the next live streams. Consider subbing, and I'll catch you guys later.